Hi, I've been asked on how to make cheer bows using your no bow, no go template. Now I am using a 2.25 inch piece of red ribbon cut at approximately 30 inches. I already have my fabric, gold fabric attached to one side. I've actually only done it on half. I've also marked the center of this ribbon. You can see the mark right there. Now to start, I use my 7-inch template. What I do is I put this, I put the ribbon on one of my grids and making sure that it stays, making sure that it stays on this. I want to make sure that that bottom line stays on that grid line. Then I take my 7-inch template and put the center piece marked with my middle mark, and I also make sure that I put this bottom edge of the template on another grid and try to keep them level like that. So I'll go from the right side, and if you see that ribbon, it moves slightly. So now I will just move it back. I like to keep it there because that ensures that the loops stay even and not off center or smaller. And I'll find just the center here, and I'll take the other side and just about the center there. I make sure that I still have my middle mark there. I also make sure that if I've moved it, then I'll move it back. And then I take my straight pen and find the center and go through both of those layers. Go through both of those layers. I slide out my template, and because I marked the center piece, the center, I will then stick my pen through the middle there. So now it's through the middle. You'll see how it's level now back there. Then once you find the angle that you want, I just keep in mind that you don't want too tight of an angle, because otherwise then the loops, the spikes will close up. So once you find the angle and you have all of them the right angle, I clip it. I then take a needle and thread, or you can do this on the sewing machine. I just chose to do needle and thread this time. And you just tack it down right in the center. If you're like me, after a while your hands start hurting, so I will actually use a pair of needle nose pliers to pull my needle and thread through there. I take this out. I'm going to do one more loop. I'm sure y'all know how to sew. And unfortunately I pulled that through, so I'm going to actually find that hole there. Anyway, it doesn't really matter because it's not going to stay there. As long as it's tacked down and it's not going to move. And then I cheat and I use a zip tie. I put this through the center here. Oh, first I'll kind of crease in the center to relax the fabric. And when this is an essential step if you have several layers. This bow here happens to only have really about 1.5 or 1 layer. So, but if you're using several layers, this is an essential piece, is trying to put that relaxation into that fabric. I take my zip tie, zip it up, and then while it's still loose, I'll go back in and get the loops. And sometimes I have to finagle it, I'll be honest. Sometimes it just doesn't want to play nice. And other times it just goes right on what it's supposed to do. And today it's not playing very nice. So sometimes I'll retighten it just a little bit further, just until you get it in there. You get the point. Make sure you have the 3 peaks, 1 in the center and 2 on the other side. And all your bows obviously have to be the same. I personally like the zip tie, I don't know what you want to call it, the knot there up at the top. I use my pliers to make it tighter, as tight as you can, and then I use my wire cutters and cut off that end there. There should be. So this was a prototype. And then this is when you'll cut your spikes. Do your V-cuts. This is how I cut my V-cuts. I like to put them on this grid, kind of eyeball it, and you can see mine has the right angles. So I will cut right there, and I obviously eyeball this. I think I've done it long enough, as most of us have, to be able to guess if that's going to be right or not. Okay, and there you go.